So, Brandon and I were recently invited on an adventure trip, as you would call it, an overlanding expedition. Issue is that I need to get this fixed up before then, and Brandon needs to figure out if he can fit it in his schedule. Now, it's a month from now, which gives us a good amount of time to figure it out, but since I don't have any experience of really doing things, it's gonna take me a little bit longer, and my schedule up to there is getting pretty busy right now. So I'm gonna hurry up and try to see if I can get this done within this first week, and then that way I can tell the guy that we are able to go, or at least I'm able to go, and then hopefully Brandon can go and we'll be doing another trip. So stay tuned and we'll figure out if that's gonna happen, but in this video, I need to figure out what I still need to fix. So when I was with Michael in Florida Expeditions, we found that the coolant temp sensor was causing the engine not to start. And inside, you can't really tell, but one of the leads or whatever you want to call it is corroded. So what he did was he disconnected it and then he completed the whole circuit so that I guess the vehicle just thinks that it's there and is able to start, and I was able to get home. So I'm gonna have to go and replace this, and hopefully my temperature gauge is gonna work because it's not working currently, and that's gonna help drastically because these engines are known to overheat, and hopefully I can, have an eye on that. And talking about overheating, we have found that over here it's leaking coolant. So in the reserve tank, we're thinking that the reserve tank was cracked. I ended up pulling it out, but I couldn't find a crack in it. But I do think that this connection right here was a little bit loose, which was causing it to spill and leak everywhere. So hopefully that is fixed. I did fill it up back up with some coolant, and I'm gonna see if there are any leaks. But then if there aren't any more leaks, I'm gonna do a whole flush and figure that whole thing out. Another thing that I'm gonna have to replace is the power steering pump and this fan. I think it's called a high-speed fan. So I'm gonna look for this at the junkyard, and I already purchased one of these. I'm just waiting for it to come in, and it should be an easy install, hopefully. I haven't done any of this, so we're gonna find out if I can do it. So that should be it in terms of the whole engine compartment, and the other things I need to do are brakes all the way around. When I was with Michael at Florida Expeditions, we tried to replace the front rotors and brakes, but the issue was that the rotors were the wrong size. We got them from AutoZone, and online people were having the same issues that we were having. It says that it's the right fit for the vehicle, but it's just ended up being too large. And then I also looked at another auto parts store, I think it was Auto Parts, and people were having the exact same issue. So I'm gonna have to try to figure out on where I can get the proper size of rotors, or figure out what people are saying online. Another thing that I'm gonna have to replace is the front passenger side wheel bearing and U-joint. I did see Michael replace the wheel bearing on the other side, and that's simple enough, but then the U-joint, I saw online on how to do it, so I'm gonna have to figure out on how to do it. I've never done this before, so we're gonna see it firsthand here. And then I also don't have bump stops. I'm not too sure how I'm gonna do that because I know I have to drill inside the coil perch. So I have to drill down, and I have these hockey pucks that I can put on there as the extended bump stop. So I might save that if I go meet up with Brandon and see if we can do it there, because I'm not sure if I have the right tools to be able to drill in through where the bottom of the coil goes. And then I'm gonna also have to extend the brake lines. Another thing that I'm super excited to fix is this exhaust hole. It is so annoying to turn on the vehicle, and it's just super loud and it doesn't sound nice. And so that's what I'm gonna do today too, is try to figure out and go to muffler shop and see how much it's gonna cost to fix this up, and hopefully it's not too much. Hopefully they can just, maybe put a patch on there and just weld this back on. I don't know, I've never fabricated stuff, but I try to look online to see how much it would cost, and Michael said it should be underneath $100. So hopefully I can get that fixed today. Another thing is that I need to fix this O2 sensor. It looks like this is a brand new O2 sensor because these lines on here look pretty clean. And this wire, it looks brand new. And I think that they were going to try to wire it back in, but these of course have different colored. So I could technically get wire and connect the two, which I'm not sure if I'm gonna do. I can probably look online to see what colors these are, or when I go to the junkyard to get that fan, I can go up. This is what Michael's told me to do is, come back here, go to the junkyard, cut back here, because there's a connection similar to this that connects these two, and then just take the O2 sensor from the junkyard Jeep cut up here, and then just try to solder those together, and hopefully that works. And I don't have any more check engine light on and going. And one really annoying thing is that Harbor Freight ended up recalling their jack stands. Not these ones specifically, but it was their second time recalling their jack stands, and they said that you can return these. So I'm not gonna take any risk with that, because that's life or death. So I'm just going to return them, get my money back, and go somewhere else to get my jack stands. And so on the agenda today is I need to figure out the whole coolant issue and this whole temp sensor, and then I'm probably gonna have that cleaner, I forgot what it was called, but the coolant cleaner, have it run for a couple of days, and then I'll eventually flush it a couple days after. So I'm still waiting for a bunch of parts and components to come in, and that's gonna come in the next couple of days. So I'm just gonna do as much as I can today, which I think is just the coolant. Oh, and I'm gonna go to the junkyard, and I'm gonna do the exhaust hole. I have made it to the junkyard, but I have noticed that there's some like rattly, squeaky kind of noises going on at higher speeds, so I'm gonna try to figure out what that is. I'm probably just gonna go get my parts and wait for this to cool off so I can really touch things and wiggle them around to see what I can find what's rattling. Found one, but everything that I need has already been stripped, so on to the next one. Found another, and this one has a fan that I'm looking for, so let's take it off. Actually forgot to check to see if this was seized up like mine, but it's not. It's spinning. It doesn't have any resistance on it, so I'm going to assume that it works. It's not like mine. Mine has like, you can't spin it freely. I think that's good. I've also noticed that my oil gauge is finicky, so I'm gonna see if I can just replace the oil pressure sending unit, and hopefully it's fixed. And this one has one, so we're gonna take it off of this one too. I think I need to get an adjustable wrench. I don't know what these ones are called, but the one that, you know, spins, so it's not this double handle, but it spins and it moves thing up and down. These are big when they're like this, trying to grab onto the nut. So basically what I've been doing was just kind of buying tools as I go. I just bought the necessities, like a ratchet and socket set, wrenches, pliers, just kind of like basic stuff to get me started. And then as I see I need things, I'll get them. Run over to the store and get them. Looks good to me. Last thing I need to get is the O2 sensor, and this one has been cut too. And I've also, I think I'm gonna get some armor, see if there's any ones that have armor on here. I doubt it, but might as well look while it's out here. I know on the Grand Cherokees, the gas tank skid plate I think will fit on mine. So if not, you can probably just kind of fabricate it, jig 'em or rig it, whatever. So all the Cherokees have their O2 sensor cut, so I think what I'm gonna do is just use the one I have because it's a universal one and it's new, and just, you know, solder both ends and get some wire, figure out what wire I need and figure out what colors matches up with what colors and put them together. And then another thing that I forgot to get is the like dust cover, inspection cover, and this one has one. So this is a 2000 Cherokee, so I'm gonna grab it off of this and then we'll be done for Junkyard. I can't get my ratchet on this bolt here, so I'm gonna have to come back later with wrenches. Should have brought my wrenches. Well, I forgot that I needed this, so now we're gonna go back to my Jeep and see what's rattling on that. So before I look under the Jeep, I decided to maybe change the oil pressure sensor, but the engine's still like really hot right now, so I'm gonna wait on that. But that guy right there doesn't look like mine, so I'm gonna have to figure out if mine can in fact fit there, or maybe I got the wrong one. So hopefully I didn't get the wrong one. Hopefully this one fits, but based on the looks of it, looks like it's not going to fit. But let's check under the Jeep and see what's going on. I'm thinking maybe it could be my control arms. because they are greasable, but they did come with grease in them, but I don't know if it would be rattling. I'll pick up some grease and grease them, see if that works. It sounded like it was coming from over here, but I don't see what it could be. So my sway bar does squeak a little bit. I can't remember what the sound was like. Hopefully it's that. I might have found it. Hopefully that's it. I know the quick disconnects they're pretty much gone, but I'm not too worried about those. I guess as long as it's connected, see if I can tighten it a little bit, see if that gets rid of the problem. What's left for today is I want to replace the cooling temp sensor and then the oil pressure gauge, the oil pressure sensor thing. And I do think, even though the sensor I think is slightly different, I saw online people have been doing the same swap where they'll change that sensor out to another one like the one I have. So hopefully that gets to work. What I'm gonna do is, since I don't have any more coolant leaking out, I'm going to use this flush and cleaner. Now, I think it's probably best to completely drain your radiator and everything and flush it out and then refill it and put this in just so that you have like clean water. But because we just pretty much filled the whole thing back up, back with Michael at Florida Expeditions, it's all new fluids in there. So I have no leaks. I'm gonna double check it after I change this to make sure that it's not completely empty or anything like that. So I'm gonna change it and see how it goes. A crescent wrench. I don't have a crescent wrench. That's what it's called, is what I need instead of this. Just to double check, I was able to disconnect it. I'm just gonna take the current connector and see if it plugs into my current one, and it does not. So this one has 3 prongs in it, and the one that I need to replace, or the one that I need, has 2 prongs. So that's kind of an issue, and that's a bummer. Should have checked that. Should double check exactly kind of what parts you need and what they look like. Take pictures of them just so you know when going to the junkyard. I guess that's basically a learning experience, and that's kind of why I'm filming this, because who knows if somebody stumbles upon this and be like, that's a good idea, Braxton, or like, you idiot, you should have known. Actually, I think what I'm going to try to do is just clean it up and see if that helps it at all, and if it fixes it, then I don't need to replace it. The inside of the plug does look a little wet. Oh, it might be oily. Let me see. I have dirty fingers, so I'm going to try to use my middle fingers. Might be oil. I'm not sure. Or dielectric grease, because I know people put that in there. I'm going to keep that disconnected. Maybe it is water or wet. Maybe it's not supposed to be moist like that, and hopefully it dries out by the time I finish the coolant temp sensor, and then I'll plug it back in before we start her up. Maybe I have a socket, a deep socket that could go in there. Let's find out. What's interesting that I found with like ratchet and socket sets is that I haven't really found ones that give you a full set of like a full complete set. They'll have like some of this, some of that, but it's just not the whole thing, which was kind of annoying. I mean, I guess you can get away with what you have and kind of buy what you need, but at the same time too, it's just kind of nice to just have a set that you know you have everything. So I haven't really used this that much, so we'll see how well it works. I just know with this is the Harbor Freight one, and it doesn't have a lot of deep socket ones, so I'm gonna have to go and get some deep sockets, because I know for instances like this is you want to be able to reach in there and deep and maybe even have reach. So we're gonna use the non-crescent wrench that I have. This guy, let's see how well. It might be a little hard or tricky because of this pipe clamp here. There's coolant in there, which is good. I remember last time Michael checked it, there wasn't any coolant, but using this guy is really putting some grooves in there. So crescent wrench, I guess, or deep socket. And looking at tutorials online, they say double check everything, and these look to be the exact same, which is good. So I'm gonna put this guy in, plugs right there, do it as much as I can by hand, and we'll put this guy together. Yeah, this is getting chewed up. I think it's called Loctite, the white stuff that's around it, or not Loctite, something. It comes pre with it on the threads. That's what I'm trying to get through. Give you guys a little bit of a close-up to see me screwing this up. I have a lot more room now, thankfully. I'm probably gonna look online to see how far people have really put this in, because I don't want to do this anymore and just completely get this whole thing rounded, but it's nice that it is here. Let's see. Yeah, I can't go anymore, so. Wait a minute. I didn't need a crescent wrench. I just needed a wrench. I'm stupid, but you know, happens. I got the idea from looking at a YouTube video where he replaces it. Thread sealer. That's that's around the threads that he's saying. I feel like that's pretty tight enough. Considering on what was on there before and how easy it was to take off with this, I don't think I'd be able to take it off with this. So it might be a little too tight, but we'll see. Like that. So I'm gonna put the oil pressure sensor back on, and then we're gonna see the gauges, see if they work. I also forgot to check my coolant. Nice. This is filled up. I do need to get rid of some to put some of this in. I'm not too sure how to do that. A lot of people, the way they drain these XJs is that they'll just remove the bottom radiator hose. They don't do the little twisty thing because it breaks easily on the bottom. So maybe a turkey baster. Maybe I'll use that. So I did not find a turkey baster. I'm going to try to take off the lower radiator hose just for a little bit and then put it back on. And then hopefully that took out enough fluid, and then I'm going to refill it with water after I fill that up. I have distilled water that I can fill it up with, so hopefully this works. All right. I think I need a bigger bucket. Yeah, that's not good. I think I removed enough, and I know antifreeze is not good for the environment, so I said I need to get a bigger container. I'm probably just gonna spray some degreaser all over this and water it down like crazy. I know animals like to get into it. Just gotta burp it. Actually, I'm gonna put this back together, of course, before I start her up. So I looked online and people were saying, or guides were saying, the best way to clean up coolant is like kitty litter or sand or something like that to absorb it. But it's like in the concrete, so there really wasn't much. It was just saying use vinegar because it's a natural degreaser. So I'm using Super Green, Super Clean, Super Green, Simple Green, whatever it was. It's the green stuff to degrease it and hopefully lift it up, I guess, and then hose it down as much as I can just to dilute it. So I have no idea kind of what the best option for this is. Again, it's not to drop it or not drop it, but to spill it all over the place like I just did, but you know. So I'm probably just gonna let this sit here and kind of soak for a little bit and hose it down and connect it all back up together. And as you can see, it is dark outside, so this is gonna be my last thing. Check gauges. Oil went up. Sometimes it goes up sometimes it comes down. My check engine lights is gone too. Let's burp it. It's definitely going up. So it said with the cleaner, it said to turn the heat on and let it run for 10 minutes. So that's what I'm gonna do. We'll see if it gets up to temperature and see how it's doing. All right, so gauges are working. There's no more check engine light, which is still kind of odd because I thought the O2 sensor was causing it, but I think Michael reset it. I don't know. It's not on. I'm happy about that, and the gauges are working, but there's still more work that I need to get done on this Jeep before I can actually do this trip that is coming up. So stay tuned, and you're watching TrailspinTV. Please like, comment, subscribe, give suggestions, and I hope you had a good time because I did. I liked it. It was fun. But I mean, I guess this is like all brand new to me, so it's like all fun to me instead of like people are like, wow, you get excited for changing a sensor. I mean, I feel accomplished and good about myself because, you know, this is the first time that I've ever done this before. But anyway, I've already signed off. See you in the next one. Bye.